are here with a very special guest today, UFC Hall of Famer, professional wrestler, and now Bellator MMA fighter, Ken Shamrock. So fans, before we go into the interview with Ken, I'd like to take our older fans for a journey down memory lane, and for our newer fans, I'd like to introduce them to all the accomplishments the world's most dangerous man, Ken Shamrock, has done. So let's get started. Kenneth Wayne Shamrock was born February 11th, 1964. By the way, Ken, happy birthday, it's coming up. He was a star athlete excelling in both football and wrestling. As a senior, Ken qualified for the state championships in wrestling, but sadly broke his neck in practice just days before the competition and underwent neck surgery. Doctors told Ken his sports career was over, but in true Shamrock style and against doctors' orders, Ken joined the Shasta College football team, where he was voted team captain in his final season. And football fans and MMA fans, time for a trivia question, and Ken, you got to answer this one for us. What professional football team offered Ken a tryout?
San Diego Chargers.
Thank God for that, though. You chose wrestling, making your debut in 1989 at the South Atlantic Pro Wrestling promotion. As a young wrestler, Ken and two other wrestlers formed a promotion called Pancrase. It was a little different, using professional wrestling rules. It consisted of no closed-fisted punching to the head and breaks on the ropes. In the main event of the first show, Shamrock beat his opponent, Funaki, by an arm triangle choke. The show attracted a sellout audience of 7,000. Wow! Ken was also the first foreign MMA champion in Japan, winning the title King of Pancrase. And when it comes to MMA, well, let's get right to it. Ken has headlined or co-headlined 16 MMA events. That's a big number. Ken became the first UFC Superfight champion, defeating Dan Severn at UFC 6. That weight class became later known as the heavyweight division. During his reign as a UFC Superfight champion, he was considered the #1 mixed martial artist in the world. And if you need any more information about Ken Shamrock, listen up, MMA fans. Ken did not stop at MMA. He also became part of the World Wrestling Federation and Total Nonstop Action Wrestling. He is a one-time NWA World Heavyweight Champion, one-time WWF Intercontinental Champion, one-time WWF Tag Team Champion, and the 1998 WWF King of the Ring. World Wrestling Entertainment, formerly the World Wrestling Federation, has named Ken's ankle lock as one of the top 5 submission holds in the history of wrestling. In addition to this, Ken serves as an international speaker for venues from TED Talks to ministry functions. The founder of the Lion's Den Mixed Martial Arts Training and Camp Lion's Den Ministries, Ken has written 2 books, Inside the Lion's Den and Beyond the Lion's Den, and has appeared in several films, including a recent documentary called The Greatest Fight, which we're going to find out a little bit more later about in this interview. I am proud and honored to welcome the world's most dangerous man, the living legend, the one and only Ken Shamrock. How are you, Ken?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm great. I gotta say, I get out of breath with all the stuff you've done. It's harder for our fans to understand that there's like pages of information on you. But anyway, we gotta talk about your upcoming fight, because that's what the purpose of this interview is. You know, you have a long-standing kind of beef with Gracie. Tell us and our fans why you have such a score to settle with him.
Well, it's been 20 years since me and Gracie had started this feud. It's been a long time, and it's a great opportunity since we're going to be fighting a third time and try to settle the score here. On some of the stuff that had gone on in the earlier days, not just with myself, but with a lot of fighters that were involved in that tournament style, knowing that the Gracies had basically brought this out for people to watch and see, which is awesome, and we really appreciate them for that. But also, too, it had some downside to it, too, because they were in control of the rules and the card and how people were matched up. And that's where my story goes, basically, and how me and Royce and our feud got started was when I first heard about this event, I talked to a guy named Art Davies. Okay. I had put my hat in, my name in the hat, and he had went and searched me out and then came back and said, "You're the guy we're looking for. Love to have you be a part of the show. No holds barred, no rules, no time limit, anything goes." That's what I was told. I was already in Japan fighting. I went there, I defended my title.
Right.
I went to Denver, Colorado 3 days before the event was supposed to happen from Japan. Within my mind thinking there's no way they can even pull this off because this is all against the sanctioning
Right.
commission and the body of commission that we hold in standards here in the U.S., that there's no way they could have an event like this. But I played along. I said, okay, let's see where it goes. I get there, and it became more real every day. First day, I seen all the press, not too many of them, but there was enough. I seen the fighters. And then that's when I really started realizing that this was going to happen. And I got excited because I was like, this is what I do over in Japan pretty much.
Right.
Not quite the closed fist, but, similar. So I'm getting excited as the time goes on. Well, 24 hours before the event's supposed to happen, I get, and I'm not going to mention names, but I get people that come to my room and they tell me that I can't wear my shoes. And I said, well, it's no holds barred. There's no rules, no time limit. Anything goes. Well, what happened? I said, well, it's a weapon. The laces on there and the shoe could cause damage to the head if someone gets kicked in the head or something of that nature. And I said, okay. I figured, okay, if it's going to be even all the way through, I'm okay with it. Well, never have fought without shoes. You don't understand how difficult it is to be in a canvas ring with no shoes on when you haven't done it before. And so I went ahead and went along with it. I get in there and I fight Royce the first time. They changed the card around 100 times, so you never knew where you were fighting at. So finally, the day of the fight, I find out I'm fighting Royce in the second fight. But I'm fighting this guy, Patrick Smith, in the first one, which was supposed to be the #1 tough guy. It's from that area. So I'm fighting probably one of the harder guys on the card besides Gerard Godot. So I figured no problem. I'm going to smoke him anyways. I get in there and I shoot on him. And when I shoot on him, I realize for the first time, I've got no footing.
Wow.
I'm spinning around in a circle trying to take him down. And I normally don't have a problem taking people down when they don't know how to stop a takedown. But I'm literally slipping. So I end up just spinning him down and get him on the ground. I heel hook him and break his ankle, and I win the fight. I go into my second fight with no rest. Royce fights Art Jimerson with one glove on. Takes him down, beats the guy pretty easily, and he has about a 15-minute rest. I fight my guy. I beat him. I walked back to my dressing room because I had 3 different colors I was going to wear for each fight.
Right.
The minute I walked back to my dressing room, they say, you're up. I didn't have a chance to sit down.
Wow, that's
so
crazy.
I go back in the ring and I fight Royce with no rest. And he ends up choking me out. Now, this is the part where it's kind of stuck in my mind for a long period of time. And for some people, they'll have a hard time understanding it. But for athletes, they'll know what I'm talking about. Is that when I'm in the fight, I take him down. I'm pretty much controlling him the way I want him. I sit back for a leg lock, and he wraps my arm in the gi. And I drive my knee inside, and I figure I'm going to push away. And as I'm pushing away, my feet are slipping.
Wow.
I can't get any grip. So I try to roll out of it, and I end up wrapping a gi around my neck, and he's choking me with this gi. And I remembered, and it was a split second, maybe probably 5 seconds at the longest that this is going on. This was what was going through my mind. He's choking me with the gi. I can't feel his arms. I can't break his arms. I can't defend it because it's a rope around my neck. And I'm thinking, they took my shoes away.
Yeah.
They said it was a weapon. Isn't this a weapon?
And a dangerous one at that.
Yeah, and literally in my mind, that's what was going through my head. Because after the fight was over, I was on my knees. Referee stopped the fight. The referee didn't stop it. Royce did when I tapped. And the referee said, continue to keep fighting. And Royce says, no, you tapped. And I'm on my knees the whole time. And you could see me thinking. And I'm telling you, yeah, I tapped. But in my mind, I'm going, I just got choked with a gi.
Right.
Like that was a weapon. They just took my shoes away. It was supposed to be no holds barred. Anything goes. How is that fair? That's what was going through my mind. And so that stuck in it. And when they interviewed me, I was tried to make sure that I didn't allow that to show. and just basically told people I was the third best because the two guys in the finals, the first and the second best. And I really wanted to make sure that I didn't disgrace myself, because I was very angry and I was upset that what had just transpired. And so I didn't, but I wanted a rematch, and Bob Meyerowitz saw what had happened, and he made it a point to make sure that rematch would happen. And we tried several times for that to happen, and for whatever reasons it didn't happen. One time I broke my hand training for a fight, so we weren't able to do it. Then we were supposed to do it again, and I made it all the way to the finals. Royce Gracie had a tough fight with Kimo Leopoldo,
right,
and then backed out of the fight because he was exhausted. That also pissed me off because I was exhausted. I had just fought 2 fights and made it into the finals, and I was waiting for him. And he backed out of the fight because he was exhausted, because he had a tough fight. I had fought a gold medalist in the first round, Christoph Leninger, who was a tough fight. Then I had to fight an alternate who didn't have a fight at all and was fresh because Keith Anthony broke his hand.
Yeah.
I beat him, and I get into the finals with all those things happening. And, I suffered some different things with my injuries and stuff, but I was standing there in the finals waiting to fight him. Even with all that stuff that had happened to me, with the injury, with me fighting 2 tough fights, he gets exhausted in one fight and then throws in the towel against a guy from Canada that did martial arts that he could have very easily beaten. He throws in the towel because he's exhausted. To me, that just showed me how his toughness, which I've always thought he was a tough guy, but when he did that, I was like, we don't all get to fight on even playing field. We don't all get to have perfect endings and be in perfect shape to go into the finals. And yet when you're stressed and tested in a fight and you're wore out a little bit, no injuries, but you're just wore out, you back out of a fight. And to me, that's what really bothered me in that situation. So I told Bob Meyerowitz, make this fight happen, because that's the only fight I want. And I remember I didn't even go into the finals for that fight because in my mind, I was there for Royce Gracie. And I wanted Royce Gracie and only Royce Gracie. And when Royce Gracie didn't come out for the finals, I lost all interest in fighting. I was done. I wanted him. And I made it really clear to the fans. I made it really clear to Bob Meyerowitz, I'm not here for the money. I'm not here for trophies. I'm here for Royce Gracie. And it made it even more of a desire and my passion to get him, because he backed out of the fight, because he was exhausted. I was exhausted. I was still there. And then we get the fight to happen. Bob Meyerowitz puts it together. The very first super fight in MMA history. It was me and Royce Gracie, because we were not going to allow this fight not to happen. So we get the fight to happen. I trained for a 3-hour fight. I mean, I was literally waiting to take this guy into a place that he had never been, because they brag about being the best conditioned athletes in the world and the best submission guys. And I was going to crush all that in that one fight. And I trained hard for it. So we get the fight to happen. Again, day before the fight, they come to me and tell me that now there's a 30-minute time limit. The first time limit ever put into an MMA event was Royce Gracie and Ken Shamrock. So here, this thing I trained for so long to make happen is now not going to be able to put into effect, because now we have a time limit. So I thought to myself, I can't change my strategy because I'm the day before the fight. I can't change anything.
Interesting.
So I said, okay, 30 minutes is still a good long time. I could put some pressure on him, and I could still wear him out, and I can still get the job done. So I went into the fight knowing the time it was there, but I had to stick to my plan, and that was I developed the ground and pound. I developed follow the hips, stay in the guard, block the submissions, and pound him when he attempts a submission. Block it, make him pay for it. And that was the first, really, the first time anybody ever saw a ground and pound strategy. And I implemented it to the T. I mean, if it was a 3-hour fight, which it wouldn't have gone that long, an hour would have been enough. You could see in that fight, when we were starting to go through it, that I was taking over the fight and I was fresh. And he was wearing out very quickly. And I saw that with the Kimo Leopoldo fight. I knew I could wear him out. And it was starting to work, although the time ran out. Now, this is the part, even though it worked to my benefit, this is the part, along with the very first event, where you look and see on how they were able to control the event and put themselves in the best positions to win by using their power as promoter and also matchmaker to be able to change or to control rules and time and opponents. Time runs up. I pretty much win the fight, even though there's no decisions, but I dominated him. I controlled him. I smashed him. I did everything I was supposed to do to try to implement my plan. He couldn't do anything with me. Okay? So as the fight ends, 30 minutes, I'm thinking, man, it didn't, I was just like, I was getting where I wanted to, but just not enough time. His brother comes out of the audience, Royce Gracie, and yells 3 more minutes.
Wow, that's interesting.
I'm like, what? This is a sanctioned event. You can't, and they give him 3 more minutes. Literally, they just did it. I was like, okay, I was cool with it because, I had trained for a long fight. So I was like, yeah, let's go. So in the second overtime, I hit him with the right hand. I blow his eye up. I start pounding on him. I work in his body just as I already planned. His legs start dropping. He's getting slow now. I'm getting to where I want to be. Time runs up. I get up and I think, man, I had him going. His brother yells 3 more minutes. Now, Royce didn't want 3 more minutes, and his corner didn't want 3 more minutes. They were looked over like, what are you doing? You can't see what's happening in here? We get to 3 more minutes. I take him down, and I just start doing the same process. Ground and pound. Hit the body, hit the head. Hit the body, hit the head. And he's literally really ain't got much left. And the time runs up. I'm thinking to myself, man, all right. So I'm waiting for 3 more minutes again. I only need 1 or 2, maybe 3, maybe even 6 more minutes, and he's mine. They don't do it. So I yell for 3 more minutes. 3 more minutes. Did I get 3 more minutes?
No.
They ignored me and literally called it a draw. And this part, which really put the icing on the cake, Royce Gracie goes, he didn't come to fight. All he did was just lay on me. And I thought to myself, are you an idiot? Are you an absolute idiot? Because what you just said was, I laid on you. Which means I was in your wheelhouse for 36 minutes and you couldn't do anything with me and I was just laying on you? How does that make your skills even relevant then? If you got somebody that just laid on you and didn't do anything and you couldn't submit them?
Yeah.
Pretty stupid on his part.
It sounds from this conversation we're having that you also feel like you were being disrespected. Is that an emotion that you can look back at and say that that was probably true?
It was to a point to where it felt like every time that I had turned around, they were always trying to manipulate the rules to benefit them. And I saw it happening in other situations within the tournament style, where they were, making matching up cards and putting guys that were big punchers against one another to break their hands, and then have to, fight Gracie next after they beat each other up. There was a lot of that going on, but whatever, it was their show.
Right.
It was a promotion for them. And so I wasn't even mad about that, obviously it upsets you a little bit because you're being manipulated. But it was their show. But what bothers me is when they basically tell you after you put a beating on them that you didn't win or that you didn't do anything or that you didn't come to fight and that you just laid on them and wouldn't give any props, none whatsoever during that time. Basically just told me all I did was hold him down. And I said, well, why are you proclaiming that you'll go against anybody and they can't stop your submissions? And all I did was just hold you down. And if I could hold you down, then what good is your submissions?
Speaking of Royce, this is the first time he's fought in nearly 9 years. Do you think that's going to have any factor in the fight, the ring rust issue?
Well, I believe that ring rust is real.
Right.
And if you want to look at my last fight, that was relevant, pretty relevant, where the fight went exactly like I thought it was going to. I took him down. He rolled to his belly. I put the hooks in. I threw the choke in. He tapped. The problem is with me is because of that ring rust, when he tapped, because of the training, you let go or you ease up and you just keep going, right? Because you're practicing. You want to keep the cardio going. So you ease up, but you keep going. And that's kind of what happened was I eased up. He got his chin down. He was able to block the choke after that. So if I'm fighting and I have that continuous practice in the ring at fighting, I don't let go of that hold.
Right.
Because I know the referee hadn't stepped in yet and that you got to finish it. You know, you're not expecting the referee to hand you a gift. You have to finish the fight. And I didn't do that. I let him go. And that happens to be because I had been fighting for a while, and when he tapped, it was an instinct to let go or to ease up. And and most of the time it won't cost you. But in this particular instance, it cost me. The only thing I will say about that was that I also believe in MMA and the way MMA should go, or should be going because it is MMA, is that it's not boxing, not kickboxing, that you knock somebody down, the fight's not over. You have to finish them. And I felt like I was knocked down, but I wasn't finished. And they didn't, and I don't believe that that was fair because I'm a grappler.
Right.
And that he had to come to me in order to finish that fight. And he had to come to me on the ground to finish that fight. And that didn't happen. But that's just my humble opinion. So yes, ring rust is real. And yes, I believe that Royce will have some. Will it cost him the fight?
That's the question.
With having ring rust? That's just remained to be seen. I believe whether he has ring rust or doesn't have ring rust, it's irrelevant. Because I'm going to win the fight, whether he has it or doesn't have it.
Speaking of the fight, how is training camp coming along? You're back with your first original trainer, I read.
Well, we go way, way back. Guy Mesger has been with me since the beginning. He's a tremendous trainer, a tremendous person. And I hadn't been with him for a while because he was doing his thing, I was doing mine. We were going in different directions and just life. So I felt like this fight, I needed to bring myself back to the old school Lions Den, bring back the attitude, bring back the training, bring back that roughness and that edge. And I felt like being in this camp with Guy and bringing in Frank, my brother, and bringing in Guy, and of course my two kids are going to be in my corner. It's going to bring back those memories and that thought of like us being the best in the world and the training that we went through and where I came from and how I got there. These are all things that are going to give me that edge and be able to bring that Lions Den toughness back to Ken Shamrock when I walk into the ring against Royce Gracie.
I think that's such a cool idea for you to have your kids in your corner. Tell us how old your kids are, and are they following in the path of being an MMA person?
Well, my youngest boy, Sean, is definitely, he's very interested in fighting, and he's still training. And he's 24. 24? 22. No, I'm sorry, 22. And my son, Ryan's 25. So, and Ryan fights also. He's been laid off for a while because he's had a family. His kids are grown up, so he needed to take time away to try to make sure he squares away his family. So, but they're both very active. We're going to be starting in and they're training with me. So I'm looking forward to them and their future when mine ends.
All right, switching gears a little bit, I had a chance to read your blog, and I read on your blog you learned a new term recently, troll. Tell our viewers what you meant by that.
Troll?
Yeah.
I just think that in the world that we live in, and especially with how easy it for people to get on and criticize other people, I think it's easy for people to point and hurt other people. I read not too long ago about a guy that committed suicide, a kid that committed suicide, and it's from people that had said things and done things, and nobody was listening.
Yeah.
And I think we have a lot of that now, too, in our society with social media. People being able to say and do things with absolutely no repercussions. And to me, those are trolls. Those are people that cling on and hang on and try to hurt other people because their lives aren't going so well. So I don't want to get into it too much because, it is what it is, and I don't like being negative. So, but yeah, I've definitely wrote and defended in a lot of different situations that, not just because they do it to me, because I realize that that's just part of what I do.
Right.
And that's the things that you have to accept. But not for people who are not in it, family members, people who are just fans, or people that just maybe follow you or like you or whatever, and then they're attacked. That's the stuff that bothers me. I realize I have to be able to deal with some of it, and it goes along with that. But there are people that are attached to me, whether it's family members or friends or fans, that they don't have to deal with that. It's not fair.
Good advice. There is so much social bullying going on. It's become rampant, and I've done stories on it in the past, but so much is on the young child or the kid or the teenager about looks. It's crazy out there. Anyway, you also wrote on your blog that you've been in discussion to get this fight with Gracie a reality, saying, and I quote you here, "Few can understand the magnitude of importance that this fight personally is to me. Rounding out my career as a professional fighter has to be done with the right fighter." So what do you mean by that?
Well, I think that I could fight anybody. I mean, I fought Kimbo,
Right.
and that was more of an entertainment thing. I believed I would walk right through him. It'd be a great fight for me to go in there, knock some ring rust off. It didn't work out that way, but it wasn't. It was an exciting fight to watch, but it's not something that you would put an exclamation point on your career with.
Okay, yeah.
Where I'm at right now and the fights that I take right now is because I'm at the end of my career, and they've got to be fights that are going to tell the story that I want it to tell,
Right.
that Ken Shamrock, when he started and he finished, and the guys that he fought have to make sense for that finish.
Interesting.
Dan Severn's one of them. Royce Gracie's one of them. There's so many of them out there that make sense for me to fight at this point in time in my career, because I'm all about making sense. I'm all about making sure that it's the right fight for the right time. And I'm all about the fans wanting to see a certain fight. And so for me to tie my legacy up, to be able to wrap it up and be able to tie it up with fights, the fights that I choose now have to make sense for my legacy. Royce Gracie is a hands down the right choice right now for this particular time for my legacy and my career. I want this story to be told my way. The only way I can make it be told my way is for him to get in the ring with me and fight me. I was not going to get that to happen.
Right.
I couldn't get it to happen. But now all of a sudden, since I had the fight with Kimbo,
Right.
and I looked so terrible in it,
Oh.
Royce Gracie immediately jumped on the bandwagon and said, "I'll fight him," because he believes that he's going to get the same fighter that he saw with Kimbo. He's sadly mistaken, big time. He made a big bad decision here. Big bad decision, because he's not getting the same fighter. He's getting a much better fighter and a person that has everything to lose,
Right.
lose, and everything to gain.
Speaking of Dan Severn, you just spoke about him a few minutes ago. I read that he was considering coming out of retirement to fight you. Any news on that?
No, right now it's just talk. Right now there's definitely a good possibility, but right now, man, my focus is on Royce.
Yeah.
Because listen, this is the third fight with me and him. We started this MMA culture. We were the first feud in this MMA culture. We were the ones that people watched in the very first MMA culture. I want my legacy to be told as the winner, not the loser.
I also want to go back to some other quotes. In a recent promo for this fight, you also said, "When I walk into the cage, I feel at home." Can you tell our viewers more about what's going in your head and your mind when you do walk into the cage?
It's almost like a journey. Say that you have this hiking trip or this boating trip or this whatever it is, and it's a journey. It's 10 or 15-mile journey, and you got to pack everything to get ready. Make sure you got all your tools and all the stuff you may need for this journey, and then the preparation for the journey, and then the journey. And you have to use all these tools to get to this point, to your journey. And you'll run into some bumpy parts. You may break something, or you may not have enough of this, so you have to improvise. So this journey that you take is not always going to be smooth, but for you, it's a fun journey because you're on the journey, and you know you have to overcome obstacles.
Interesting.
This journey I'm on is the same thing. I'm on this journey with Royce Gracie to be able to fight him. And I've started by gathering all my tools and all the things I need in this journey by sparring partners. And now I have to go through the training to get there. And I'm running into obstacles and overcoming these different type of things that are coming my way. And then we reach the part where we have to be, which is the fight. And when the fight happens, that's the end of your journey. Your journey now is complete, okay? But I'm going to make sure when the journey's complete that I'm standing with the hand being raised, not him.
So I was also checking around, did some research again, and I saw in a recent Legacy MMA promotion in Houston, you ran into Dana White. We're going to roll that clip now.
What's up, brother? How are you? What's up? All right, man.
Were you surprised he was so supportive?
No. Usually when you're with Dana and you're doing FaceTime with him and you're talking to him, he's always nice, you know, at least to me he has been. And usually if there's no issues. So no, I wasn't surprised that he was nice. I think that's Dana. Dana can be nice, but it's the stuff that goes on behind the scenes that sometimes it bothers me.
What do you think is the most difficult part of being a professional fighter?
I think the most difficult part is, and I guess for me, but for other people it may be different, is being able to deal with the success. I think the strongest thing that tends to hit a lot of people is the power.
Okay.
Free meals. You know, girls want you all the time. You get into any club that you want to go to, you get to the front of the line. You're always being put up in front of everybody else. And it makes you feel entitled. And then there comes a time when it's not happening anymore. Like maybe you have an off year. And so then you start losing that popularity a little bit. And then a lot of people have a hard time dealing with that. And so they get angry or they start getting depressed. And to me, I think that's the hardest thing that we see happening to a lot of these star athletes or franchise athletes when they're so popular and everybody wants them. And then all of a sudden nobody wants them. It messes with you. And I think to me, that's the hardest thing about being a professional athlete when you're one of the best is the downside.
Yeah, people do have a short memory across all sports. I have to say that. What is the best advice you can give to a young fighter that wants to get involved in MMA?
I would say make sure you have an education for one, and that you don't put all your marbles in one basket. You could be the best fighter in the world, and all that has to happen is you tear a hamstring.
Right.
Now you become average. Even when it heals, you may not have the same speed or the same reaction time. So now you might even just be average. So, you can have confidence in yourself and realize you're the best and that nobody can beat you, but it can end in a heartbeat with just an injury, a simple injury. And so I would just make sure that people realize it can end tomorrow. And if you realize that, then you also have plans to make sure that you're going to be taken care of if something like that does happen.
Okay. Well, thanks. I'm sure a lot of young MMA fighters are going to appreciate that advice coming from you. MMA fighter, boxer, wrestler, trainer, actor, spokesperson, businessman, mentor, father, and now grandfather. What is left on your bucket list?
Well, I think now it's basically to close the deal. It's to... all those things that you mentioned is to enjoy them. Being a grandfather, being a father, I get to be friends with my kids now. You know, I get to hang out with them and not have to discipline them or to, you know, always make sure they're going in the right direction. They're old enough now to where I can just be friends and just talk with them, watch football, do whatever we like to do. My grandkids, I don't have to raise them. I can just be there and be supportive of them. So all those things that you mentioned now, those are things now that you just enjoy. There's time to enjoy them.
Also, if I don't ask this question, Des is going to be mad at me. So Des, your manager, wants you to tell our viewers about the Easter egg on your website.
Yeah, there's an Easter egg on our website, and it's a real small one. And in fact, it's small enough to be almost as small as a period. It's really small. So on the website, if you find this thing, it opens up my personal pictures and my life so that you get to see things that nobody else gets to see. You become a part of my family once you find this Easter egg. So we've had it on there for quite some time, and very few people have found it, but when they have, they appreciate the door that they get to go into.
Well, I took a look at some of the photos and they were amazing. It's definitely sort of a look down memory lane from when you were a younger fighter moving up. Before we go today, Ken, anything else you want to add?
No, just that I am blessed, and that I'm enjoying my career now. And a lot of questions have always come up, and it seems to be the one that's dominating the most is, why do you still do it at 52? And no matter how many times I explain it, it seems like I have to do it again and again. But I'm okay with it because I want people to know. I want them to really understand why. I enjoy it. It's like when someone goes fishing or hunting or they go shopping. Whatever they do, when they're done doing their work and they want to go and do something that they enjoy, they go do it. A lot of people will go hang gliding or hiking or riding bikes or jogging. People go, well, that doesn't sound like fun, but to them it is. Well, training and fighting is what I like to do. And people have a hard time understanding that that's something someone can enjoy doing. But I want you to look at it like someone jumping out of a plane or someone running 10 miles. Because it makes them feel important. It makes them feel comfortable. It makes them feel relevant. It makes them feel. And that's why I do it, because it makes me feel. It makes me feel where I want to be. I enjoy training. I enjoy competing. I enjoy it. And on top of it, I get paid for it. And it's like, how many people are going to get paid to go run 10K? Or how many people are going to get paid to go jump out of a plane and do those things that most people go, it's crazy. Why would you do that? Because they're not getting paid. It's because they enjoy it. But now I get to do something I enjoy and get paid.
The best of both worlds. And the fans get to continue to see you, which we all like to see you in the fights. Ken Shamrock, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me today. I really enjoyed our interview. I wish you good luck on your upcoming fight at Bellator 149, which you can see on Spike.